Well, hello, good evening, people. Thank you for coming so much here. So, I'll introduce myself. I'm Matthew Janness. I'm the president of the TriBury BNI group, newly sworn in. So, we're doing a presentation. This is going to be a series that we're going to be doing. So, it's going to go at least a year and a half at least of material that I've come up with, our group has come up with, based on the experts that we have in our TriBury BNI group. So, we have a great bunch of professionals. And we have some awesome topics that we're going to cover in the next 12 to 18 months in a series. So this is going to be an ongoing series. We're going to meet every Wednesday night, 6:30 here at Post University. The presentation is going to be 30 to 45 minutes. There's going to be time for questions and answers. You certainly can ask questions during the presentation as well as at the end. So the series is Building Your Financial House and all the things related to that, right? And so it's important to note, number one, that I'm actually filling in for our financial consultant in our group. So not my field of expertise, but I've worked a lot with Bart Mazer, who's our financial consultant, and I think I got a handle on his presentation. Also, it's important to keep in mind that not everybody's house is the same, right? So just like the houses we live in individually, all our houses are different. So what I'm going to present today is an overview. It's just a general overview of how to build a financial house. What you end up doing on your own is based on what you're comfortable with. So right off the bat, as I said, so here we are, we're at Post University. Really want to thank Dr. Nicholas Lopriato. He's the program chair, Masters of Business Administration. Awesome guy. So this all started, it was his idea. So he started sitting in on our BNI meetings, and we typically give a 10-minute presentation in our meetings from each one of the professionals in the group. So we do it on a weekly basis. We're going to be doing this on a monthly basis on an expanded format. So it was Nick's idea. Nick sat in and heard us giving our presentation and said, hey, you guys have some good stuff. Why don't you share it with the people? So that's what we're trying to do. So we're looking at it as a community give back, if you will, community involvement. We have expertise. We've worked hard in our fields for a long time. And we're going to share the knowledge that we've gained with the people in the community. Also helping us is Bob Sembianti. He's the events coordinator here at Post University. He just blew my mind. So we just hatched an idea, and the next thing you know, he's coming out with marketing materials. Just amazing. So the support here at Post is awesome. It's really a great university. It's a great setting. It's a great complex here. So if you haven't been, you definitely want to come. Okie doke. So let's dive on in. So why would anybody want to build a financial house? Right? So there's a lot of reasons. So could be just your own personal security. You just want to be secure in your finances. You don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck, right? Or you don't want to be answering phone calls from debt collectors, right? So it's an important thing to do. It could be just for you, but I think for most of us, there's a bigger impact. Legacy, right? So what do you think about with legacy? I know for me, going back when I was younger, I was happy just making some money, going out and playing, doing things, buying whatever I needed, whatever the case may be. But at some point in your life, you start thinking about family and children, and what are you going to leave to them, right? How are you going to take care of them? What's going to be your contribution to their lives? And as parents, we make a lot. But how we end up financially is a huge consideration. At least it was for me. Security, I already talked about. Retirement, right? So I don't know about you, but I don't want to work forever. I enjoy working, right? It gives me purpose. I have fun at it, but I don't want to work forever. So as you get a little older, I'm noticing I'm starting to get tired. A little bit tired, so I don't want to work forever. So you need to build that nest egg for retirement. You need to build an income stream for retirement. And we're gonna again, it's a high-level overview. We're gonna touch on some of the ways to do that. Fear, right? So, fear of what, right? Fear of debt collectors, fear of not having a safe, secure place to live, fear of not being able to get to work or get a job. So there's a lot of reasons why you want to be building your financial house, right? So you don't have fear. And it could be lazy. So one of my friends, right? So when I was thinking of this presentation, one of my very, very good friends, I said, oh man, this is all about legacy. He's like, yeah, not for me, right? He's like, I just don't want to work. I want to build that house as fast as I can, set up those income streams so I can stop working as soon as I can. And then when I pressed him a little, he said, yeah, and it's about legacy as well. But it could be that as well, right? People like to retire early. It's always a dream. I want to retire early, right? Okay. So this is the house. So I gave you some handouts. And I gave you some notepads, paper to write on and stuff. So as I go along, you're able to take notes on the house, right? So the house has foundation, it's got floors, it's got a roof, it's got an attic. And so I'm going to be assigning different areas of finances into those aspects of the property. Okay, so let's talk about the foundation, right? Very bottom of the house, foundation. What do we all have? We all have our health, right? We all have our health, and we have our lives, hopefully, right? Hopefully we're not walking around as zombies, right? So those are the two most important things right off the bat. You have to protect. You have to get those in place, and they have to be solid. You need a solid foundation, right? So I'm going to be honest. I don't know a lot about health insurance, and I don't know a whole lot about life insurance either. But we have experts in our group which know a lot about those things, and they'll be presenting later on in the series. And I'll show up at the end. I'll show a projected timeline for that series and the topics we're going to cover. But when it comes to health, you have some choices. You've got a major medical plan, which typically is what I go for, right? I don't get sick, and so for me, the cheapest premium possible to cover what I need. So if there's a catastrophic illness or if I have an accident, I'll pay a lot more on those office visits or for the treatment, but that's a rarity, right? I'm planning on that being a rarity. So the premium itself is very small, the deductible is very high. That's just how it works. Or you can go to a PPO plan, which the premium's higher, and the deductible's lower, and it goes on from there. There's different types of insurance. There's travel insurance, for if you're taking a trip overseas, right? What happens if you get hurt overseas? Super expensive, right? You're overseas, you're hurt. How are you going to cover those costs, right? In some of those countries, they're not going to treat you unless you can prove you've got insurance. Sometimes the insurance that you have here is not going to cover you over there. Very, very important. And then there's insurance for your students, right? So students have a special aspect of insurance. Sometimes they're covered under your own plan or not. Depends on what your employment situation is and if you can slide them into your plan or not, right? Life insurance. So 3 basic types that I know of. Again, not an expert at all on life insurance. But I own it. I have all 3 of those, as a matter of fact. So when I had my first child, I got a whole life policy, right? When I had my second child, I got another universal life policy. And somewhere in there, I also got a term policy, right? So I wanted to be covered. What's the difference? So whole life is based on a fixed return. So the premium's relatively high. You pay into that over a certain time frame, whether it be 10, 15, or 20 years. And at some point, the policy is earning enough in dividends that it can pay for itself. The universal works very similar, except for it's an adjustable product. So that return on the investment is not fixed, it varies, right? Same thing, it's still pretty high premium on an annual basis, right? But it carries on for many, many years, and at some point, the dividend that it's earning from the investment is enough to pay for the premium itself. And at some point, as you get older, there's declining returns. Not my field of expertise. We have a life insurance expert. Talk to them. They can explain it. That's not me. Term life is super common. So that's what you see being sold all over the TV and all kinds of different vehicles. AAA will send you, oh, you're eligible for life insurance. That's what they're selling. They're selling term life because it's cheap. The reason for why it's cheap is it only covers a term. So 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever the case may be. Why is it typically cheap and why are they giving you those offers? Because they're looking at timelines when people typically pass away. How long does a man live? An average male live? How long does an average woman live, right? And they're selling you the policy and it's cheap because that timeline they're selling you is below where your average person passes away, right? But again, life insurance is all about the unexpected, right? And so that's why we get it. We're covering our investment, right, at that point. And our investment that we're covering with life insurance, it's not for us. It's for our loved ones, right? So it's going to our loved ones and it's covering our estate, right? It's covering the expenses of the estate. So that's cool. Okay, so now we're getting up to the roof. So you have your picture of the house. So you just worked on the foundation. Now we're going to go to the roof, right? So now we want to cover the house, right? So when you're building a house, the first thing you want to do is put in the foundation. The next thing you want to do is get to the roof as fast as you can to protect everything underneath it, right? So how do we do that? We need help, right? We need some attorneys, right? We need some attorneys to help us with wills and trusts, powers of attorneys, any real estate, business policies, business protection, probate, end of life. There's so many things that affect us that are legal, that are beyond our control, super complicated, and we need attorneys to help us get everything in place, right? So what does a will do? A will acts to work for a seamless transition, as seamless as possible, because you still have to go through probate, but a seamless transition of your estate should something happen to you, or when you pass away, right? It's a passing of your estate, of your assets, that we're trying to build in the house. So that's the purpose, right? So we don't want to pass those assets, but we have to pass them in an orderly and legal way. Okay? And there's some other things that we need to think about related to real estate, business, and some end of life. You know, we've got attorneys coming up later in the series. They're going to talk about that. They're the experts. But again, I'm just laying the foundation or the principles of building your financial house. This is one of them. The next one is the other side of the roof. So you figure one side of the roof, and here's the other side. The other side of the roof is identity theft. So at this point, and with everybody trying to get our information, it's really more of a question as to when and not if, right? At some point, you're going to get hacked. Whether it's your email account, mine's been hacked twice, maybe in the last 15 years, I don't know. But more importantly, what you're trying to protect is your information, your banking accounts, your credit cards, your social security numbers, your driver's license, all that stuff. Once that gets out, not good things happen. So you want to protect that. And there's several different companies that do that. I think I've got a few here. I'll try and read them off. It's really less about the who you're going to hire to protect it, is that you just need to get it done. So you've heard of some of these names. There's LifeLock. It's interesting that I think all three of the credit reporting services, so Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, also offer this service, even though they've been the greatest loss of our information. It's just the most bizarre thing in the world. But you can hire them if you want. There's another company called Identity Force. I just looked these up on the web, the ones that were rated good. And the other place you can get, the other place that sells this identity theft protection, and it's relatively inexpensive, honestly, $10 to $20 a month, maybe $30 on the expensive side, is your insurance company. So that's another avenue you can explore. If you have a trusted insurance advisor, someone you trust, someone you do business with, ask them, do you sell identity theft protection, right? And is it quality? I'm sure they'll tell you, they'll give you, most insurance agents that I know, they're not trying to sell you anything you don't need. They'll tell you this is a good policy or not, right? So that's just another avenue you can look at, right? And it's going to protect all of those things. You're trying to protect your social security number, your license, your credit cards, and your bank accounts. Super important. Okay, so now we're going to work on the first floor here. Auto and home, right? So most of us, right? If you're listening to this, if you're coming to this seminar, you probably have a car, right? You've got to have car insurance. What's important to remember about car insurance, you don't want to get the cheapest insurance you can get. You want to get adequate protection. And what are you looking to protect? You're looking to protect the amount of your potential losses. And that has to do with your estate. How much are you worth, right? Do you own a home? Do you have valuables? Do you have stocks? Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure the protection that you're protecting, especially on the liability side, is going to protect everything that you have to lose. Again, basics for me. I'm not an insurance agent. I know a little bit. Well, we have insurance agents in our group. And again, later on in this series, they're going to dive deeper into this, right? So I can't stress enough. It's an awesome series that we've got set up, and we've got some really good experts who are going to lay out all the details on a lot of this stuff, right? So it's about protection and liability. That's what it comes down to, right? If you're in an accident, you may be liable, maybe not. But you need to protect yourself in the case of a suit. That's where it comes into play. If they're trying to sue you, they're trying to go for everything you got, and you need to protect yourself. Same with the home. I didn't really talk much about home insurance, but it's the same thing with the home insurance, right? So you can buy a policy that's bare bones, or you can get one that's going to protect you to the amount of assets that you need to protect, right? So if you have a $500,000 house, and your policy is only going to a replacement cost of $350,000, I don't see where that works, right? So typically when it comes to home insurance, you're looking for guaranteed replacement costs. And then usually the good carriers will have on top of that, right? So they'll do guaranteed replacement costs plus 25%. Everything's getting more expensive, right? So a house that cost, $400,000 or $300,000 to build 5 years ago will easily cost $400,000 today. It's just everything's getting expensive. It's more materials than labor, unfortunately, but that's the case of our economy. Okay, so now we're going to get into budgeting and emergency funds. So budgeting is pretty simple, right? You want to take in more than you spend. That's the key. It's the absolute key, right? So however you do that, whatever you have to cut back on, you need to do it, right? You need to set your priorities. What's important to me, right? What matters most, right? As a good friend of mine once said, what matters most, right? So you have to set your priorities and make sure that you're taking in more than you're spending. And so for most of us, it's limiting our spending, right? So there's so many things we can spend our money on. So many temptations. You have to really buckle down and limit that. For me, I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking forward to what do I need to be saving my money for? What's on the horizon next? Who knows? Is it a new car? Is it just repairing my car, right? Is it repairing my house? You never know. So that's part of building your budget. So let's talk a little bit about emergency funds. So the very first thing that you really need to do when you're thinking about a budget is you've got to make sure you've got an emergency fund, and that needs to be 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses, right? So if you're, one of the terms we use in finance is run rate, right? So run rate is how much do you spend a month? What are your fixed expenses every month, right? So it's your run rate. So if your run rate is $5,000 a month, you need to have somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000 sitting in a savings account somewhere. Not something risky, something super safe, right? You can put it in a CD, put it in a savings account, money market account. There's different strategies for keeping that money because that money's not going to go where it's going to sit there until you need it, right? So there's certain strategies with CDs. There's laddering your CDs. Again, our financial consultant will talk a little more about that. You can ladder your CDs. You can invest in money markets. Whatever you want to do, but that money's got to be sitting there. So I think I already talked a little bit about that, but you're planning for short-term expenses. And to some degrees, long-term, but this is mainly expenses that are 3 years out, somewhere in there, right? 3 years out, maybe 3 to 5, but they're short-term, relatively short-term. So next we're going to talk about debt elimination, right? So at some point in our lives, I think all of us end up getting into debt for whatever reason, right? So the key is how do you eliminate it, right? So we want to eliminate our consumer debt, credit cards, student loans, whatever the case may be, car loans. And I have this here, lease. By the way, leasing is not a good investment. It's just not. Leasing is not a good investment. So if somewhere along the line someone said, oh yeah, just lease a car and every 2 years or 3 years you get a brand new car. That's money that you never get back. Whatever that payment is, $250, $300 a month, whatever it is, you're never going to get it back. The hook of it is it's usually a smaller payment, right? But you're not paying off the car. You're basically renting the car for 2 or 3 years. It's like paying rent on an apartment. You're never owning it, and you're never going to own that car, right? And so when you really run out the numbers on this, let's see. I'll tell you about my car, right? So I have my car. It's a 2012 Chevy Malibu. Right, my payment, I think, was $250 a month, 5-year loan, paid it off in like 4.5, but that was in 2016. So now for 2 years, or almost 3 years, I've been driving the car with no monthly payment, right? So you do the math, $250 a month, 12 months, 3 years, saving a lot of money, right? Of course, it needs repairs. Think about it. So that's what I hear that argument a lot. Well, what if the car needs repairs? Fix it, right? Fix it. How much can it be? Let's say it's $500. It's only two months worth of payments, right? And if that gets your car running for the rest of the year, you're thousands of dollars ahead of the game, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about debt elimination again later on in this series. There's something called debt stacking where you allocate funds to your debts and you focus on the maybe the most expensive one, possibly from an interest rate standpoint. You pay that off, and then you take that money and you allocate it to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until you eliminate all the debt. So Bart will talk about that a little bit later. So I'm going to talk a little bit about savings here. So these bottom things are buckets. So consider those to be like buckets. And so we've done our budget, we're taking in more than we're spending, and we've got a little bit of money left over. So what are we going to do with it, right? Right off the bat, we're going to take 50% of it and put it into our emergency fund, right? Which should be the far left bucket. So 50% of whatever we got left over after we pay all our bills, we're going to put it into an emergency fund. We're going to take another 25% and put it into our short-term savings. We're starting to build, right? We're starting to build for whatever costs are coming up. We're building for the future. The remaining 25% is going to be going into our retirement funds. This is on top of, mind you, so the 25% is really a total number. So this is where Bart and I differ a little bit. He said 25%. I almost think it's unreasonable. But again, you build your own house. I'm not the contractor. You are, right? I learned this a long time ago. It's a crazy story. I was out hitchhiking, right, in Vermont at night. This guy picks me up, and he brought me to where I was going, but on the way, he told me, he said, if you don't remember anything from our conversation, remember this. Pay yourself first. I'm like, what? He's like, pay yourself first. Take 10% of everything you make and set it aside, right? Set it aside for your retirement. You know what? What was I? I was 20, I was young. I was like 23, 22 at the time. And I remembered it and I did it. I've done that ever since that age. I'm coming up on 60. I've been saving 10% every year since I'm 60, since I was 22 years old. Very, very good advice. So, how many people like free money? Pretty much everybody. You don't like free money? I guess I like free money. The quickest way, the easiest way for free money, if you're working in a larger corporation, is the 401k, right? Most companies, or a lot of companies, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of companies will do a 401k match. What is that? They'll match a certain percentage of what you put in. 1%, 2%, 3%. A really super, super good company will do 6% match. I think I've even heard them going up as high as a 10% match, which is huge, right? So let's run that out. So let's do, because I have to do easy math. I'm in finance, but it's got to be easy, right? So let's say you set aside, out of your paycheck, every time you get paid, you're doing $100 to your 401k. If you're working for a company and they do a 5% match, right? So what's that? That's $5, right? $5 free money. Not a bad deal. But what they do is they'll do 5%. I think what they do is 5% of your pay. That's what they do, right? And so that's now, so if you're putting in 100, they're putting in 50, right? Awesome. Awesome. It's the way to go. Free money. It's the quickest way to build a savings plan, right? And it boggles my mind when I talk to people, because I'm in mortgages, and they're looking for money for down payment. I'm like, you got a 401k? No. You've been at this company for 20 years. Yeah. Wow. If all they did was pick a number, $50 a paycheck, they would have a huge amount of money. IRA, so if you don't have a 401k plan, 10% of your paycheck into an IRA every month. Make it automatic, right? Be working with a financial consultant. Have a company that you can just do that with. Just automatic, right? So most companies now, when you get paid, Ryan can speak to this. We have a payroll specialist in the audience. You can designate how much, what percentage of your check goes to where, right? 10%, right? 10% either the 401k or the IRA. It's got to be going somewhere. And at the end of the day, Bart's wanting you to put 25% total into retirement. And that's up to you.
That's of the savings, though.
Huh?
That's of the savings. That's
right.
The extra.
That's the extra that you have left over. Yeah, right. That's the extra that you have left over. Not a bad idea. Go ahead.
But you said 10%, but that 25% is close to 10%.
Yeah.
If you took 50% away, then you have 12.5%.
Yeah, that's of what's left over in your budget. So if you only have $200 left over in your budget, you're doing $50 into a retirement plan somewhere. Right. That's on a monthly basis, right? That's what Bart's saying. Not a bad idea. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I really do. Unless someone's giving you free money. Still, you want to be building, because even if you're putting 10% into your 401k, it's not going to be enough. It's just not. You have to keep building another source. Now we're going to get into some other income streams, other ways to build retirement income streams, but this is one way. I'm just showing you what Bart says. And I got pension on there. I don't know. I guess there's a few companies that still have pensions. Unfortunately, I don't work with them. But it's important. Okay, so now we're up in the bonus room of your house, right? So we're building the financial house. Here's the bonus room, right? So after you have all those other things in place, right? So you've got your emergency fund, you got your short-term savings all set, you're building towards your retirement in your 401k, your IRA, and you still got money left over, right? Here's what you're doing, right? You're investing for the future, right? You're building another stream of income and or retirement funds. Stocks, bonds, rental property. So we have a realtor in our group. Crazy over rental property, right? It's a sure way of building an income stream is rental property. Just the numbers, that's just how the numbers work right now. They may not work forever, but right now the numbers work good. Get yourself into a rental property, you're going to create an income stream. It's an awesome, awesome way. Another way people have an additional income stream is business. Like a lot of people have a second business or a side business, something like that. Awesome idea, right? Whatever you can do. Hobby. So, I don't know, I was reading in Money Magazine, it had to be at least 20 years ago, that a good way to invest in yourself and give yourself a future or an income stream in retirement is to have a hobby that you can make money at. And that can be all kinds of different stuff, whether it's crafts, if you're making crafts and selling them, whether you love to make furniture, and so you come home and in your spare time you make furniture and sell that, whatever the case may be. That's just another stream. And then, hey, who knows, man? You might hit the lottery, right? It's real money. You know what? It's not guaranteed, but if it hits, it's real money, right? So that's up to you. Again, you're building your house. You're not building mine. Okay, so this just kind of, I'm kind of laying out the rest of our series here. So hopefully, building a financial house, you kind of got an idea of some of the things you do. Again, I know a lot about mortgages. I don't know a lot about all that other stuff, but we have experts in our group that do, right? So we did the first one, building your financial house. Next up is health and life insurance. So that's, remember, the foundation of the house. That's coming up on November 20th. We're going to have Pierce Downing and Carlos Arundel in here. They're going to be speaking on that. Wills, estates, probates. So remember, that's the roof of the house. Very, very, very important. We're going to have a couple of attorneys in here. Stephen Grant and Fran Donahue are going to be in here. They're going to be talking about that. They know, they're attorneys. They've both been doing this for a long time. They know a lot about this stuff. I'm having a guest speaker come in on January 15th. And he's going to talk about building and repairing credit, right? I'm super excited for that. And you see my little, what I have underneath there, cost of materials. Why would I put cost of materials with building and repairing credit? Anybody have an idea?
Programs?
Kind of. So again, I'm building a house. Credit, cost of materials, your credit score, your credit rating affects everything you're going to do almost in that list I have, right? It's going to affect what you pay on credit cards. It's going to affect what you pay for mortgages. It's going to affect what you pay for car loans. It's just super, super important. And I just don't think we talk about it enough in our culture. Then we're going to do taxes. So I figured February would be a good time to talk about taxes, right? First things first. You got to pay your taxes, right? So we're going to have a tax accountant come in here and give us a little talk on taxes, maybe some of the things we should be doing, how we can avoid paying too much, maybe some of the tax deductions we can be looking for. So then we're going to talk about mortgaging, mortgage pre-approval, getting ready for the spring market. We're going to follow that up with buying a home. So we'll have a realtor in here talking about things to be thinking about when you're buying a home, the different processes and steps of that. We're going to be talking about then closing. What's involved with closing on a home purchase, right? What are the legal matters, legal concerns related to that? So now that we own a home, then the next series is going to be maintaining it and improving, right? So once you own a home, you got to work on it and improve it. Then we're going to start. Then we've got an excellent commercial realtor, and we have a commercial lender. So we're going to talk about commercial property, right? Again, it's your house; it's not mine. So if you're interested in commercial real estate, it's an excellent way to develop an income stream. So we're going to present that to you. Then we're going to talk about moving and cleaning, right? So if you're selling, buying, moving, what's involved with that, right? And you ask, like, what's cleaning have to do with it? I've been into some houses, and I'll tell you, you wouldn't want to step foot in it until it was clean, right? So we're gonna have an all-natural, organic cleaning business in here. He's going to talk about cleaning up a property, either when you're leaving or before you get into it. That's just it for now. So here's some of the contacts, if you're interested at all, the people you can talk with here. So we have Dr. Nicholas Lopriato, this is contact information there. Bob Sembianti, who's the events coordinator here at Post University. Third person, Matthew Janness, that's me. And then Bart Mazer. So a lot of the concepts I talked about in here regarding financial planning and saving and budgeting and debt reduction, those came from Bart. So if you want more information on that, there's his contact. So much. Questions? Good.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.